Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you're a mechanical engineer at Raytheon Missiles and Defense, an engineering intern at Mercedes-Benz, both in the United States. In the university, you served on the board of the Presidential Leadership Advisory Board and also functioned as a presidential ambassador. And, you know, it's your love
Yes.
for engineering that has brought about all of these different kinds of opportunities. But a lot
Yes.
of people might have heard the term engineer but don't understand what a mechanical engineer is. So let's start there.
Yes.
What's a mechanical engineer?
So I like to think of a mechanical engineer as a person who design, analyze, test, manufacture any sort of mechanical systems. And we deal with anything that moves. It can range from your automotive industry, it can go to materials, it can even go to aerospace. So it's probably the broadest field of engineering. So I like to say that we are a tree and we have different branches, but we definitely deal with systems and
No,
automotives.
this wasn't quite something that you were at two saying, you know, this is something I want to do with my life. So where did this love and interest in mechanical engineering come from?
Yes, so this is a very interesting story. When I went to St. Hugh's in Jamaica, I had a teacher that actually took a liking to me because she was my math teacher. And I think she saw something in me in sort of like my technical skills. So when I moved to the US, she used to actually call me and contact me and ask me how I was doing in math. So when it was time for me to figure out what to do in university, I said, okay, what is something that I'm good at and what is something that can challenge me? And that's how I chose engineering.
And math is the connection between both fields from that kind of perspective. What's so fun about math? Because this is a subject here that a lot of people are like, no, not for me.
So I'm actually good at math, but I don't like math. What part of engineering that I do like is actually the problem solving. It's the ability to think creatively and apply your technical skills. So that's actually what kind of roped me into the career. But what gave me the start was, okay, I'm good at the math, I'm good at the practical. How can I apply that and make something?
And this, you know, being good at math was something that you noticed from early on. So
Yes.
you've spoken of going to St. Hugh's High School in Jamaica, but before that, you went to Kingsgate Prep, then Mavisville Prep as well.
Yes.
And then you went to the United States to another high school called Sandy Wood High School. Sandalwood High School. And you've been, you know, very involved in math throughout at every juncture. That was just something that you loved?
Yes, at every junction. And not only the math is the challenge because it was difficult, but as long as I can keep myself active and my brain challenged, that's what actually roped me in.
No, at the university level, you're really, really very, very involved. In fact,
Yes.
you said to me that at a certain point, you needed to sort of step back because, you know, to ensure that you could balance the two things. Were you always that involved in school?
Always. Actually, from the high school level, that's when I started my involvement. I was actually president of my college prep program there. So I think being in that college prep program for 4 years, that actually made my transition into university more seamless. But I was actually the captain of my track team. I was involved in community service outside of school, and all of that prepared me for the college level. So I kind of said, okay, what did I do in high school and how can I apply it in college and gain from it and grow from it? So even in the college level, same thing there. I was active in the major, outside of school. I like to be active, so that's it for me.
You know, when I listen to you talk about liking to be active in these sort of different spheres, in co-curricular activities and then as well in academic activities, I wonder how much of that is linked to your upbringing, because you've spoken of the sort of role of your father and mother in sort of nurturing this sense of involvement. Tell me a little bit about your parents first.
Okay, so I'll start with my father's side, the Plumbers. They actually moved from Trenchtown back in the 70s to Bull Bay. And my grandfather, actually, that's where it trickled down from my grandfather to my father to me. So growing up with my grandfather, he was always involved in his community. I grew up actually watching him sell Kisco Pop and Sky Juice at Excelsior. I saw him sell at the stadium. He used to actually always driving down the road, everybody's calling to him Jordan. So that kind of community engagement, that's kind of where it started. Same thing with my father. He's actually very involved. He was very involved in the Wolmer's team. So that's actually where I got my sense of teamwork, team spirit, just community. Yes, and even when I left to Jamaica to the US, my father was there at every step of the way. He actually came over to the US a month or so when I moved, just to make sure that I was set up with school and extracurricular activities. He actually made sure I was set up in college prep programs, stuff like that. So definitely my father's side, that's where I got most of my confidence from, my work ethic from. On my mother's side, they originate from Negril, actually. And that's actually where I got more of my humility and sense of self-motivation from. My mom is the type of person where if it sets your mind to something, just go ahead and do it. No, don't think of anything as a factor or obstacle. Just if there's a hurdle, go over it and go. So mother's side, definitely I got that confidence from as well.
So you were seeing the example of your, certainly on your father's side, him and his father as well, his father before him, and your mother. But what were they actually saying to you in terms of, you know, you have to get this done? What would they tell you on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, if it's something like, you know, Mommy, I want to join the dance team. She wants, there will be no, okay, is that going to benefit you? It will be like, okay, go ahead, have fun, make the best of it. Same thing with my father. It could be the smallest thing and he'll be very proud of me and telling the world about it. So just having the support from them, from the smallest things to the biggest things, that made the biggest difference. And that extends to the family as well. I never felt like I left Jamaica. There was always a phone call from a family member, always that encouragement there. So I definitely appreciate that foundation that I got from both of them.
And it's a big family as well. You said there's a lot of cousins big. And so forth.
Yes, huge. Both sides of my family, very, very big. I don't even know how to explain. They're both very big sides. So.
And you say very supportive. You grew up in Bull Bay in St. Andrew.
Yes.
Yes. What was it like growing up in the community as well?
Growing up in the community, I think that's where I got a lot of my humbleness from, because especially transitioning from Bull Bay, St. Andrew, Jamaica to the United States, it's a big culture shock. So when I grew up, when I was in the US, it was always looking back at my roots that kind of grounded me and said to me, okay, be appreciative for what you have. Thank God for what you have, things like that. But Bull Bay, I would say I had a very supportive childhood, I had a very encouraging childhood. My sister, I'm a twin actually, so we were both, she was my only sibling. So growing up, it was a lot of, okay, share with each other, love your community, represent well. And yeah, it was just the best. It was the best start of my life. I'm very appreciative for that.
No, you've intimated in the response to that question about sort of the role of, the adjustment, rather, that you had to make going overseas. And that's where I want to take the interview and talk a little bit about the transition from Jamaica to the United States. Because, as you said, a little bit of a culture shock. But let's save that question and your response to it for after the break. We're going to be taking a break right now on Profile. My guest is US-based Jamaican-born mechanical engineer Anya Plummer, whose work has taken her from companies which work on luxury cars to another which builds missiles. And we're back right after these messages.